Greetings to my brothers and sisters all over the world as we gather together for this day of prayer. What an amazing privilege we have to take twice a year, a day to go before the Lord and be with one another in prayer before the throne. It is a privilege to be a part of the team with you, to lock arms with you as we go about doing the ministry that God's called us to do. We have the privilege of doing this ministry knowing the reality that God is with us. Emmanuel. Let that sink in for a minute, that God is with us. Even as he gave us the Great Commission verse to go into all the world, he ends it with, "Lo, I will be with you always, even to the end of the age." It's about his presence. One of the things that constantly I keep coming back to is the reality of my need to be in his presence. And he's constantly inviting me into that presence. And that's what I'd like to do this morning as we're together, to invite you to come into the Lord's presence in new and fresh ways today, in a very real and tangible sense, individually and for us collectively. Jesus in Matthew 11 says, "Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." It's this invitation to come to him, to take, and he goes on to say, "Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble of heart." So it's an invitation to come, but it's also an invitation to take and to learn, to experience what he is like. He tells us that his yoke is easy and his load is light. He invites us to come to him because he's gentle and humble of heart. There's lots of places in Scripture where it talks about who Jesus is, and he uses metaphors about who he is. This is the one place where Jesus describes what his very heart is like. "I am gentle and humble of heart." That's the person that we're coming to. That's who the invitation is coming from, that we could come and take from him and experience his presence, to wear his yoke. And I know for me, there are times that I get mixed up, that I get focused on what he's calling me to. His calling me, his invitation to come, isn't coming to a teaching. It's not coming to a ministry, but it's coming to a person that we have a relationship with, who loves us and cares for us, who has compassion for us. That invitation is for us to come. I really appreciate the reality that the person I am coming to is one who has paid an amazing sacrificial price for me to have a relationship with him, to experience his compassion, knowing that he sympathizes with my very weaknesses, my failures, my needs, my challenges, that I'm coming to someone who's willing to bear all of those things up and enter into those with me. That's who we're coming to. That's what it's about. When we focus on prayer in the day of prayer, we can get caught up in the mechanics and think it's about praying through a list. It's about praying in small groups. It's about individual prayer. We get caught up in the mechanics. But his invitation is to a person. It's to come to him. And when we come to him, we find that he is rich in grace and mercy. He tells us that we can enter into the throne room of heaven to receive grace and mercy. We can enter into that throne room with confidence, not sheepishly, not thinking we've got to get everything together to look better, to be better, to make sure everything's right, but just to come. Come as you are. Just come to him and experience his presence. That today, as you gather together, or as you're quietly taking time by yourself, don't miss the reality that this is an amazing privilege to come to him and experience his rich and great love for us. What can we say? If he is for us, who can be against us? There is nothing that we cannot do as we step out in faith and follow Jesus to whatever it is he calls us to do. We're going to remain faithful to the calling of the Great Commission, to go and to make disciples. But as I've said before, it's important that we come and take of Jesus before we try to go and make disciples for Jesus. It's about him, and it's about his love for us. My prayer for you is that today you would experience God wrapping you in his loving arms, drawing you close to his chest, and lavishing you with love and affection, grace and mercy. May God bless you.